Christmas, people, is 15 days away. And a lot of you are going, oh, good night. I don't have enough time anyway. And I want you to raise your hand if coming into the Christmas season, you were already too busy. Okay? And it reminds me, there was a lady who got an Uber, and it was about the same thing, 15 days before Christmas, and the Uber pulls up to her house. She has young kids. They're driving her car, all this kind of stuff. So she goes outside with her young kids. She opens the back door of the Uber. She says, hey, start the meter, and puts the kids in the back, and then says, I'll be back. And she closes the door, disappears. 5 minutes goes by, 10 minutes goes by, 15, 20. I mean, it's getting expensive, and she hasn't come back out. And an hour later, she comes back out, and instead of getting in the car, she opens the back door and says, okay, kids, get back in the house. They all go back in the house. And she says, what do I owe you? And he said, you didn't want to go anywhere? She said, no, it's Christmas. I got kids. All I wanted was 1 hour of peace and quiet. Raise your hand if you understand that. Raise your hand if you understand it. Now, this is true confession, okay? My wife is somewhere out here, and I am going to speak on how to slow down. My wife is sitting there going, how great is it that Ray can speak on something he has absolutely no practice doing? So I am preaching to me and you all get to listen in. Is that good? But I want to begin with a test. So would you grab your notes out, and everybody grab a pen and get ready to take a quick test. Here we go, okay? I want to give you a pace of life test to see how scrambled and frazzled you are. You all ready for this? Here we go. Okay, now I'm going to just read a list, and in the right-hand column, you will write 5, 3, or 1. Sometimes it's 5, so usually it's 5. Sometimes it's 3, 1 is seldom or never. So for example, do you seem to be short of time to get everything done? If you're going, yep, usually 5. Or sometimes 3, 1, seldom or never. Second is, do you hate to wait in line? Like for example, when you go to the supermarket, do you walk up and you scan the entire thing and you multiply what's in the cart times the number of carts? And raise your hand if you keep track of where you would have been in every other line. Okay, that's a 5. Here we go. Number 3, do you eat fast? Dine and dash is your motto. Do you drive over the speed limit? I've seen you. Just put a 5. Do you seem to have little time to relax and enjoy the day? 5, 3, or 1. Do you find yourself overcommitted? Okay, like you've got too many things to do. 5 through 1. Do you think about other things during conversation? Oh, sorry. 5 through 1. Okay. Do you walk? You just do stuff fast. Now stop right there. Everybody stop. Look up here. Okay. Don't go any further. Raise your hand if you were actually doing this faster and you were ahead of me. See where it says bonus? Put a 5 down there. That is ridiculous, okay? All right, here we go. Back to this. Do you walk fast? Next, do you try to do more than one thing at a time? Okay, 5 through 1. Do you become irritable if kept waiting? Okay, 5, 3, or 1. Do you find yourself with clenched fist, tight neck or jaw, or just kind of physically tense? If you're going usually 5 through or 1. Now, one more bonus one. You all ready? If you have texted while driving at least one text in the last 30 days, give yourself another bonus 5. Okay? And stop it. Does your concentration sometimes wander while you think about what's coming up later? 5, 3, or 1. Now, go ahead and total this up, and it will give you some sort of feel for how busy and scrambled you are. Okay? So go ahead and total those up. Share your score with whoever's next to you. All right, now we're going to take a quick survey here, okay? And we're going to start low. Is there anybody in here, you are in the 20 to 34? You're going, I'm not that stressed. 20 to 34, okay, where are you? Wait, raise your hand really high, let me see them. Okay, 20 to 34. Okay, what was your score? 33. Was anybody in the 20s? You're in the 20s. What was your score? 27. Okay, good. Here's a can of Red Bull, okay? Stay awake, okay?
It's the second one I've got
It's the second one you've got today. Maybe we'll get an IV drip. All right, now, we're going to go the other way. Okay, try to stay awake during this message. Here we go. Is anybody in the middle group, 35 to 44? That's where you are, 35 to 44? Okay, now, we're going to take it in groups of 5. Is anybody in here, you are 45 to 50. That was your score. 45 to 50. Is anybody here, you were 50 to 55. That was your score. Oh, we're getting up there now. Was anybody here 55 to 60? And was anybody here 60 plus? Do we have any? Whoa, right here. What was your score? 65. You got a perfect score. Problem is he thinks he won. We have a little cuddly Rudolph Tedley Bear. Just hold this and mellow out. Can we have a round of applause for this guy right here? Now, true confession, you should feel all right. My score was 94. Now, I want you to go to the top verse on this whole outline. We're a Bible teaching church. We just spent, a lot of times we'll cover an entire chapter. We did the 21 chapters in John. Today, I actually want to pastor all of us because I'm going to take one verse and drive it into our lives. And in my opinion, it is the least obeyed verse in the entire Bible. It is Psalm 46:10. It's on the top of that outline. Would you say it out loud with me? Be still and know that I am God. Circle the word still. Be still. Okay, we're going to try again. Be still. And then circle this word and know. Circle the word know. Be still. And the Bible somehow puts together two things. It puts together being still with the quality of my relationships. In other words, if I want a better relationship with God, I've got to slow down and build that relationship. If I want a better relationship with the people in my life, I've got to slow down and build those relationships. And what we're going to do is this. What's interesting is anthropologists are studying us because this rare pressure cooker, frantic, scrambled, online sort of lifestyle is a first for all of human history. And they are now studying us to see what kind of effect is that going to have on us. Well, they don't need to study because the Bible actually paints a picture. When I'm too stressed and too busy, and I'm busier than God wants me to be, and I'm too busy for my family, and too busy for God, and too busy for relationships, it has 5 impacts. Write them in. Go to the next page in your outline. Number 1, effects of a rush lifestyle. Number 1 is this, more stress. Number 2 is less joy. More stress and less joy. In other words, there are no frantic, stressed, overloaded, joyful people. They just don't exist. The problem is this. Would you agree? Busyness rapes relationships. And the problem is this. We value speed, don't we? As a culture, do we value speed? I made a list, okay? We send stuff by Federal Express. We use a long distance company called Sprint. We do our finances on a program called Quicken. Okay? We schedule appointments with a day runner, not a day walker. We diet with Slim Fast. Doesn't work. We get our oil changed at Jiffy Lube. We get right-wing political views on the radio from a guy named Rush. We put presidents' faces on a mountain named Rushmore. Okay? We swim in suits made out of, called Speedo. Not me, but some of you. And the problem is this, the schedule fills up, the dishes pile up, and the only time my car gets washed is when it rains. More stress, less joy. Third is this, I miss my family. I blink and they've grown up and I never got to know them and I don't have memories, I have regrets. Number 4 is this, I am actually less productive. I am trying to work faster so I will be more productive. Psalms 19:2, a person in a hurry makes mistakes. In other words, the faster you go, sometimes the less productive you are because I don't think strategically. True story, a Purdue engineer was frustrated by the amount of time it took charcoal briquettes to get hot. So he decided to pump in pure oxygen. Well, that blew him up. That worked so well, he decided to take it to the highest level of energy source, and he decided to use liquid oxygen, which is the stuff they use in booster rockets on the space shuttle. Well, that worked pretty well too. That worked so well, it burned up all the briquettes and melted the entire barbecue in 3 seconds. Okay, and the sad thing is, half of the guys in here are going, that's awesome. Where can I get that stuff? The more stress, less joy. I miss my family, less productive. And really, number 5 is this: I just can't hear God. I can't hear God. Be still and know that I am God. As I can't hear God. And so what I want to do today is I just want to pastor all of you. And here's what I'm looking for. I would love it if the day after Christmas you looked around and said, I am closer to God. This has been more fun. I've actually enjoyed this season. I am closer to the people in my life. And this has been an actually inside rich time instead of a scramble to get Christmas over. Does that make sense? And so what I want to do is I want to give you 3 truths that run through the entire Bible. I'm going to have you memorize these things. By the end of this, you'll be able to say all of these things so we can all live these things. Because I actually believe if we would ever get what the Bible says about life and relationships and live it, we would all have much richer, fuller lives. And so here they are. Number 1, and this is cover to cover the entire New Testament. Truth number 1 in the Bible is this: the best use of life is love. The best use of life is love. It is an undeniable teaching all the way through the Bible. And if you don't believe that, I actually am going to give you something. Go to the back page on your outline. Go to the back page on your outline. The New Testament, every single book in the New Testament says the same thing. The best use of life is not acquisition. It is not seeking people's approval. It is not the accumulation of wealth. The best use of life is... Okay, we're going to try that again. The best use of life is love. Now, and if you don't believe that, every single book in the New Testament says the same thing. Look at this. Matthew, first book, love the Lord your God with all your heart and love people. Okay? Mark, he says, you're my son whom I love. Go down to John. For God so loved the world. It's the heartbeat of God. Go down to 2 Corinthians chapter 5. For the love of Christ compels us. Go to Galatians. The fruit of the Spirit is... The first result that I have a relationship with God is I become more loving. Ephesians, live a life of love. Philippians, and this is my prayer, that your love may abound more and more. Okay? Go down to Colossians, and over all these virtues. Now, this number, put on love. Okay? And then go down to 1 Timothy. The goal of our instruction is love. Hey, just look up here for a second, okay? Why do we teach the Bible around? Timothy says this, Paul says to Timothy, the reason you teach the Bible is not that people would become more judgmental, it's that they would become more loving, okay? The goal of our instruction is love. Go down, skip down to 2 Peter, okay? For this very reason, add to your faith love. Go to 1 Peter right above that. Above all, love each other deeply because love covers a multitude of sins. Okay, go down to 3 John. They have told the church about your love. Jude, keep yourselves in God's... What a great verse for Christmas. Keep yourself in God's love. Now, notice this last book of the Bible, Revelation. Yet this is I hold against you. You have forsaken your first love. I tell you what I'm doing with this. I have 1 copy of this on my desk. And when I arrive at work, from now until Christmas, I am not making any phone calls or doing any work or meeting with anybody until I have first sat down and read every single one of these things. I'm also putting one on my nightstand. I'm going to photocopy it, put it on my nightstand. And when I get up in the morning, I'm going to take this thing out and I'm going to read every one of these verses before I get out of bed, in hopes that this starts to become part of my life. Does that make sense? And I'm trying to build this in. There's some of you going, wait a second, I can't do that. I don't have enough time. I checked it out. It's only 2.5 minutes. You can do this. Okay? Speed reading, which is the opposite of what you should be doing. Now, number 1 is this: the best use of life is love. Now, before we go on, if some of you are sitting there going, wait a second, you don't understand, man. I'm an executive. I'm busy. I got a lot going on. This is like some Pollyanna whip thing. And thanks for saying this stuff in church, but it doesn't apply to me. Let me tell you what happens if you ignore the dominant teaching in the Bible, which is the best use of life is love. The former chairman of AT&T had 1 million employees. okay? He was insanely wealthy. And listen, but at the end of his life, he had a long illness, and he had to have one of his legs amputated. Listen to what he says. With over 1 million employees and lots of people I knew, no one except my wife visited me in the hospital. No one even sent a card. I received no phone calls. I have no friends, but I had 1 million employees and unbelievable wealth. In other words, his wallet was filled, but his life was empty. Do you really want that? Do you really want that? The best use of life is love. Now, we're going to take it one step further. The Bible teaches a second dominant point, and here it is. The best expression of love is time. The best expression of love is time. How do you spell love? T-I-M-E, because talk's cheap. 1 John says this, we must show love through actions, okay? Thessalonians, Paul writes, one of my favorite verses, having so fond affection for you all, we were well pleased to impart to you not only the gospel of God, but also our own lives, because you have become so dear to us. The greatest gift you can give a person is your time. You can give them gifts, which is no big deal because you can buy more. You can give people money, which you can always get more of. But when you give your time, you cannot get any more of that back. And you are giving people the most valuable thing you have, which is your time. George, and now if some of you are going, well, wait a second, I'm too busy to really invest in that kind of stuff. Here's another example. George McGovern, a one-time presidential candidate, wrote a very kind of heartbreaking book about his daughter, Terry, who died of alcoholism. As a matter of fact, she died, she was found frozen dead in a snowbank, which she had stumbled into when she was drunk. And after she died, he was so troubled. He pored over her diaries, and he talked to all kinds of friends, trying to figure out where she was coming from and how she ended up there. And what he discovered was he wasn't quite the father he imagined he was. While he was spending 18 hours a day fighting for all kinds of political causes, his daughter Terry was at home writing these words in her diary. I miss my daddy, but he probably doesn't miss me. And toward the end of his book, he writes advice to parents, and he says this, show more love to your kids by spending more time with them, no matter what it costs your career. That way, neither of you will have regrets. And here's the last sentence in his book. He says, I'd give everything, and I mean everything, for just one more afternoon with Terry, just to tell her how much I love her and have one of those happy times that we had way too infrequently. The best use of life is love. The best expression of love is time. And the third principle running through the entire Bible is this. Whatever you need, the answer is a relationship, which is the polar opposite of what every commercial in America has taught all of us, okay? Jesus sums up stress management in one great sentence, okay? And he says these words. He says, come to me. And by the way, he's going to lay out something. Actually, if you obey this verse, your stress will go down, your enjoyment of life will go up, and your overload will be light, and you'll be able to sleep. Jesus says, come to me, all you who are weary and carrying heavy burdens. Now, I'm going to pause right here. We're going to read that again. He says, come to me. Notice he doesn't say come to church. He doesn't say come to a small group. Doesn't even say come to the Bible. All those are good things. He says come to me. He's saying the answer for stress is a relationship. He says, come to me, all you who are weary and are laying heavy. If you got a note, pen, circle the word all. He says, come to me, all you who are weary. You know what? Now, let me tell you what he does not say. He does not say, come to me, all you who are religious. He doesn't say, come to me, all you who are perfect. He doesn't say, come to me, all you who have never gotten divorced. He doesn't say, come to me, all you who are Republican. He says, come to me, all you who are, you know what? The only qualification you have to come to Jesus is that you need him. Okay? And he says, come to me, all you who are weary and carrying heavy burdens. And then he says, and I will give you rest. Well, how does that happen? Here is exactly how it happened. He says, take my yoke on you. How many of you own oxen and till a field? Didn't think so, okay? What is a yoke? A yoke is a thing where they hook two animals together and they get behind it, and the power of those two causes forward progress and causes fruitfulness on the land, okay? Here's what this is an invitation by Jesus to come to him, to get yoked up or connected to him, and then you move forward for the rest of your life with being connected to somebody that has all the power, and we bring all the weakness, and he's still willing to hook up with us. Isn't that a great thing? Okay? And he says, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. And what he's saying is this: whatever you need, the answer is a relationship. And I made a list. For example, if you need forgiveness, the answer is come to Jesus. If I need release from worry, freedom from guilt, freedom from fear, if I need a fresh start, if I need eternal life, if I need to let go of bitterness, if I need relief from anxiety, if I need purpose and direction, the answer is come to Jesus Christ. Okay? And the problem is this. Let me just ask you a question. When you're overloaded, and when you're exhausted, and when you're stressed out, what do you turn to? A lot of people become alcoholics. A lot of people get into all kinds of unhealthy behavior because it's unhealthy stress relief. Whatever you need, the solution is not a pill, it's a person. And the million-dollar question is, so when you find God, what do you find? Jesus says, come to me, which means you get to find God. When you find God, what do you find? Let me fast forward to Christmas just for a second. What did they discover on Christmas? In other words, the angels come and say, we got a message for you. Today, a Savior is born. His name is Christ the Lord, and you can actually meet him. And you know what they discover? The minute you discover God, I made a list of what they discovered on the first Christmas. They discovered God keeps his promises. You discover you matter to God. You discover your past can be forgiven, and it doesn't have to determine your future. You discover your future can be secure forever and ever and ever. You discover transformation is possible. Your life can matter. Life can have meaning. You discover you are loved and cherished by a God who loves you more than you could possibly ever imagine. In other words, when you come to God, all of a sudden, every single thing in your life changes. Now, I want to make sure, y'all with me, by the way? Good, because this to me is a big deal. Because most Christians, Christmas is a birthday party for who? Jesus. It's a little bizarre. It's almost like if you had a birthday party for somebody and everybody brought themselves presents and ignored the birthday guy. Okay? That's what Christmas is in America. And it's never about him. And true confessions on this one, the reason I wrote this was for me. And it started about a week ago Tuesday night. My wife and I are in a couple small group, and we change homes every time. And whoever's home it is leads the couple's Bible study that night. And so we're in this couple's Bible study, and it was being led by a guy named Jim. And Jim says, I want to talk about how to connect with Jesus on a daily basis during the rush of Christmas. And he goes, so I want to go around the circle, and I probably shouldn't tell you this, but I'm going to on air. He says, I want to go around the circle, and I just want everybody to share what's the number one thing that helps you get closely connected to Jesus during this time of the year when he came. And everybody's got these amazing things they're doing. Man, I'm reading this book, I'm reading this, all of this kind of stuff. I'm reading the Gospels, and a lot of people, it was the Christmas music and all this kind of stuff. And it gets to me, and I'm the very last person. It gets to me, and I said, okay, do you want the really honest answer? And everybody's like, yeah. And I said, I think I'm disconnected. I said, I'm too busy dispensing Jesus to everybody else to experience him myself. Don't walk out on me. And I've discovered this. People in ice cream stores lose their appetite for. People in candy stores lose their appetite for candy. Matter of fact, if you're like, I'm overweight because of ice cream and candy, just get a job there. And sometimes while we're serving God and helping people taste the goodness of God, we can lose our appetite for God. It was so convicting. I went, I am going to pray through this and get this fixed, okay? And so, it's embarrassing to tell you all this stuff. So what happened is I went, I'm going to write a message to me. So I've been working on this and working this into my life all week long. And so yesterday, I am preparing, I'm putting the final touches on this message. I have a busy day yesterday, and I am scrambling around and rushing around while preparing a message on slowing down, okay? And it's so bad, so lunch, I don't have time, so I'm in a drive-through at a fast food place, fast food, and while preparing this message on slowing down, and all of a sudden I see this light come on, and these other lights start coming on, and my battery's dying in my car. The little battery signal and things are starting to shut off. So I pull out of the line, and I drive to a place to get a new battery. So I pull up to this auto parts place, and the guy comes out and he tests your battery, and he says, it's probably either your battery, but it's definitely your alternator's bad. So I'm going, so I call my wife, and I go, get over here. I got to hurry up and prepare this message on slowing down. So I drive up to an auto repair place, and they go, well, we don't have the stuff. We can't fix that today. So I'm going, great. So then we have to drive this thing home. It barely makes it home. And then we got to call AAA to come and tow it up to a place where my car worked on, okay? And so while all that's going on, I go, great. I have enough time to go print my message notes and get down here. And I go in, and my printer doesn't work. Okay? Raise your hand if you know exactly the kind of day I'm talking about. And if you've had these, okay? And I actually believe this with all my heart. We will regret every day we shut God out and we shut the people in our lives out. And I actually want to live a life where stress is replaced with more joy. And the end of Christmas is filled with gratitude for how great the season was instead of regret that I got through it. And that was all that happened. Because I believe this, your kids are going to want your faith when your faith is attractive. My kids are going to want to be around me when I'm fun. My wife's going to want to be married to me. Matter of fact, you want to test drive this? Just go ask your spouse. Well, we'll keep it to one side. Husband, just go ask your wife, honey, am I more fun to live with than I was a year ago, or have I become more of a jerk? Now, it'll lead to a huge fight, so maybe don't do that until after Christmas. But the Bible says, be still and know that I'm God. Be and get to know your family. Be still and take great care of people. Be still and stop and be filled with a wonder that every single day is a gift from God to be savored and enjoyed. Be still. Hug some folks. In other words, stop the mad scramble, or at least slow down to where I'm trying to get to. Does that make sense? And if any of you know me, you know, Ray's to-do list 80 miles long, so I am not quitting all, like a lot of people, then you just got to quit all your jobs. No, it's not about mass subtraction. It's about adding in some time to connect with God. For me, I want to connect with God when I get up, and I want to connect with God when I get to work, and I want to walk in the presence of God more every single day. Does that make sense? And I hope this helps you. I'm going to make sure, Andrew, come on out. I'm going to make sure that y'all have this. Y'all ready? Just look up here. I'm going to see if, Andrew, watch this. This is a test for these guys, see if they're paying attention. Are y'all ready? Okay, number one, the best use of life is? The best expression of love is? And the answer to whatever you need is a? Relationship. Imagine what our community would be like if we started living that out. Be a whole different ball game.